for joining us for the interview of the 2022 candidates for Asheville's mayor. I'm Cramer, President and CEO of the Asheville Chamber, and I'm joined by one of our great public policy volunteers, Burnette of First Citizens Bank. This interview will be with the candidate Esther Manheimer. All interviews will be posted to the Chamber's website at ashevillechamber.org/2022 elections. Esther, thank you for joining us. I'm going to jump right into the first question. By 2040, our metropolitan statistical area is expected to have added almost 100,000 people. What do you think is the top priority for how the city will manage that growth?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me and the opportunity to answer questions. Yes, I have seen the forecasted growth for the metro area. And I think one of our biggest challenges is going to be and continues to be affordable housing. Being able to have enough housing stock and also have enough affordable housing stock for folks to either rent or own.
Esther, we know that a body that can work well together will be more effective. Please describe your preferred style in making policy and developing consensus with fellow members, and give us an example of where you were able to make a change as part of a team.
Well, this is a good question. I think the role of the mayor is really to help facilitate the working group that is the city council, and also help them work with the city staff and the community. And then also the role of the mayor is very much one of a representative or a diplomat, sort of representing the city. In fact, this morning I was just speaking to the metro mayors of North Carolina on the very important issue of short-term rental regulation. And I think it's critical that a mayor be able to not reach across the community, be able to talk to other mayors, counties, the state of the legislature. One of the places where I've seen that make a big impact in having those relationships is when the city of Asheville was fighting the legislative takeover of the city's water system. I spoke to the League of Municipalities in Raleigh at the conference that year and encouraged cities to pass resolutions in support of our position, and over 50 cities passed resolutions supporting our position opposed to the legislative takeover of the water system. So there are real times when that ability to build those relationships and partnerships makes a difference for your city.
Esther, how do you balance policies like increasing density in certain corridors as a way to accommodate additional housing with neighbors who may be uncomfortable with growth and/or change?
Well, I would like to tell you we found the perfect solution for this, but that would not be true. I think the issue around growth and the growth of our area in particular is going to continue to be an issue, and there are certainly strong differences of opinion. So where we try to reach consensus where consensus can be reached, which is, again, back to affordable housing. I think there's consensus that we need more affordable housing in our community. And we also need housing to be placed in areas that make sense for traffic control, for convenience for people to get to work, to grocery stores, so those urban corridors. And we've tried to concentrate the most high dense development in those areas. It's not perfect, but I will tell you, you'd be surprised. Most of the time that we get a larger project like that coming before council, we don't see opposition on most of those projects. Now, there are a few that will, when they're close to a residential area or very close, we will see a great deal of concern about those, and try to reach out and work with the community to see if there are conditions that we can include in the agreement, in the conditional zoning agreement, that will meet the concerns of the community and the developer.
What do you think the role of the business community is within our city?
Well, I mean, I think the business community is very much the backbone of the vibrant economy that Asheville has enjoyed for many years now. When I moved to Asheville in 1988, it was a sleepy, I would describe it as a beautiful but sleepy place. And since that time, we have seen just an emergence of an incredible economy that is built upon a lot of small businesses in our community, folks that have that entrepreneurial spirit that came here to Asheville or already lived here in Asheville that decided to start and grow a business. So I think for me, the people also make it an amazing place in terms of its funkiness, but some of those super funky people also are business owners, and that's a really cool crossover in our community.
Esther, in general, where do you get your information about what's going on in the community?
Well, you know, I get, you know, like everybody else, I will watch news, read the newspaper, look at social media, and I go out there and talk to people. I like to visit with folks and have that face-to-face, one-on-one conversation so that I know what they're experiencing. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, you know, I've toured a place or visited with people or been out somewhere where I gain a whole new perspective. I always feel like I'm learning about my community as much as you think you already know about it. I'm still learning a lot about it. And I think also just, you know, obviously I'm on a lot of boards and commissions and active with different groups. And you learn a lot through that process as well. So all of those sources.
What will you do to reach out to the business community to give them a voice?
Well, as you know, I do serve on the chamber board, which is, you guys do a great job of bringing together the business community and also polling the business community, making sure elected officials are aware of the business community's concerns and opinions about issues. So it's very important for me to continue to hear that and understand that so that I can bring that voice to council. And when we're talking about various policy issues and the impacts on our business community. So I try to keep my toe in all the different ponds and so to speak, and that's probably not even a metaphor of anything, but you know, so that I'm aware of what's going on. And as you know, I mean, I'm a lawyer. I'm part of a business, the Van Winkle Law Firm. Our offices are in downtown Asheville and Hendersonville. So I've very much been a part of the business community in my individual practice for many, many years now.
Esther, what is your stance on issues that are affecting businesses downtown, such as camping and panhandling?
Well, I'm generally concerned about the downtown. COVID does not look good on cities. And for 2 years, we have seen, I would say, a deterioration in the appearance of our downtown. Now, we've been fortunate to be able to do some major projects downtown that are really important, like the Haywood Street project and and other projects like that. But getting back on our feet as we come out of COVID, making sure that we're tackling cleanliness, those have been some priorities of mine. We have initiated those conversations so now it's been a few months back, and staff has put together, you know, a multi-prong approach to dealing with the issues that are challenging us downtown. And, you know, in the last city council retreat, we made it one of our strategic goals to sort of restore and grow core services. And to me, that on a very basic level includes everything from dealing with cleanliness to continuing to help the police department staff back up, you know, all the things that people should be able to take for granted again, but they haven't been. So, you know, definitely a focus for us to help make sure, you know, spring is here. It should be beautiful. We want it to be beautiful. And I think you're already seeing some of those changes being put into place in our downtown.
So what do you consider to be the city council's role in maintaining public safety?
Well, obviously, you know, the city has a police department, so we're play a major role in public safety. But I think, so you have the very basic element of making sure you have a fully staffed police department, a fully funded police department. We're helping our police department recruit. We've given them pay raises. We're paying for a recruiter, supporting them in all the ways that we can so that they can restaff. there's that piece of public safety. But then I think public safety really needs to be thought about in broader terms. And that's what when we talk about reimagining public safety, that's what we're talking about. So we're looking to shift duties away from the police department that don't require a policing response. We've already done that when it comes to noise enforcement, animal control, some of these things. But beyond that, working with the county on things like the community paramedic program, and which can help us respond in emergency situations involving overdose, involving mental health crises. And this is where you have a non-policing response that might be they're paramedics or substance abuse counselors. They can administer Narcan. This is a reality we're dealing with. And so we need to find other ways to provide community safety. I also support the creation of a high access shelter. Again, if someone is experiencing a crisis like this, we have limited options. They may involve getting arrested or going to the hospital, and we really need to have other options to rely on. So a high access shelter is a shelter that could take someone in an emergency situation that just simply needs shelter and needs to get off the streets.
So Esther, the most recent version of the Bowen report says that we need more housing at every income level. How can the city promote more construction of housing?
Well, I've seen that report, and again, this delicate balance between preserving what makes Asheville wonderful while strategically growing. North Carolina is one of the fastest growing states in the nation. There is no denying the fact that we're growing and that housing needs are real. I hear everything from you shouldn't even have regulations and you should let everything and anything be developed in Asheville, all the way to you should close the door and not let another person into this town, which by the way is impossible. So for us trying to strike that balance, I think what I'd like to see is council move to a review change around apartment complexes and other developments like that, where we create a by right process that involves developers paying into a community benefits table, just like we did with the change in our hotel ordinance. I think that will streamline the process and strategically move developers in a direction we want to see them move in terms of housing development. So hopefully that can be a win-win. That'll take us some time. Council is interested in moving in that direction. It'll take time to get things drafted and reviewed and community input. But I think that will help facilitate better strategic growth around housing, at least in the rental market.
Esther, in 1 minute or less, what sets you apart as a candidate?
Well, I struggle with this question. I've obviously served as mayor of Asheville since 2013. I've been on council since 2009. And like any job, it takes time to learn how to do that job. And I've learned a lot about how to do this job and how not to do this job. So I've also, as we were talking about earlier, developed strong relationships and partnerships with leaders throughout our community and across the state, whether it's the county commissioners, who I feel like I talk to almost daily right now, other mayors in Buncombe County, other counties, county commissioners in other counties, all the way to our state representatives, legislators, our governor's office. I think that having a mayor who has those that knowledge and those relationships is key for helping position your city in the best way possible for great outcomes for your city. Someone else could be mayor at any point in time, but make the most of what you got in me and please vote for me again for re-election.
Well, Esther, thank you for being with us today. We really appreciate your time. As a reminder, you can find interviews of other candidates at ashevillechamber.org/2022 elections. And please be sure to vote on Tuesday, May 17th in the primary. So Esther, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.